I never thought I'd be the one to ruin Christmas for my entire family, but here we are. My name is Daphne, I'm 26, and this year, I reached my breaking point. Every year, my parents, aunts, and uncles have the same holiday tradition. They ditch everything and everyone to go on a luxurious Christmas vacation. I'm talking about five-star resorts, all-inclusive drinks, and sunny beaches while the rest of us are left to freeze in the Midwest. Now, I wouldn't normally care. I've never been invited anyway. But what really gets me is that every year, they leave my grandmother, Evelyn, behind. Grandma is 84. She's been the heart of our family since forever. She's the one who made Christmas magical for all of us growing up. The fresh-baked cookies, the homemade stockings, the cozy family gatherings. But ever since she got older and couldn't travel as much, they've just left her. Alone. On Christmas. Last year, I remember how sad she looked when she told me, "I'm used to it, dear. The house is quiet, but I manage." It broke my heart. But this year was worse. Because not only were they leaving her again, they didn't even pretend to care. It all started when my mom casually mentioned their vacation plans over dinner. "We're thinking the Bahamas this time," she said, scrolling through her phone. "First-class flights, ocean view suites, maybe a yacht rental for Christmas Day." I stared at her, waiting for her to mention Grandma. But she didn't. So I asked, "And what about Grandma?" Mom barely glanced up. "Oh, she'll be fine. She said she doesn't mind." That was it. That was their whole plan. Just assuming she'd be okay. No arrangements, no one checking in on her, nothing. And when I brought it up to my aunts and uncles, I got the same dismissive answers. "She's independent, Daphne. She doesn't want to be a burden." A burden. That's what they thought of the woman who raised them, who spent decades making Christmas perfect for them. Now that she needed them, they couldn't even bother to spend one holiday with her. I knew right then that I wasn't going to let it happen again, so I came up with a plan. I wasn't about to let my grandmother spend another Christmas alone while the rest of the family drank cocktails on a yacht. If they wouldn't make time for her, then I'd make sure they felt what it was like to be left out. So I called Grandma and asked her to spend Christmas with me. I could hear the hesitation in her voice at first. She didn't want to inconvenience me, but when I told her I wanted to do it, she finally agreed. And that's when I put my plan into motion. I told my parents and the rest of the family that I would be hosting Christmas dinner this year. At my place. A big holiday gathering, the works. I made it sound like I was finally stepping up and being more responsible, something my family always nagged me about. They were thrilled. "Oh, thank God." My mom sighed. "I was worried we'd have to throw something together last minute before our flight." I smiled and nodded, pretending I wasn't about to completely ruin their trip. For weeks, I let them believe everything was going as planned. I even asked them what dishes they wanted, made a group chat for Christmas plans, and acted so grateful for the chance to host. But what they didn't know was that I never actually planned to have dinner with them. The real plan? Grandma and I would have our own Christmas, without them, on Christmas Eve. While they were packing their suitcases, I drove over to Grandma's house, picked her up, and took her to a cozy little cabin I had rented for the holiday. It was fully decorated, had a fireplace, and even had a Christmas tree all set up. It wasn't a luxury resort, but to her, it felt like magic. "You did all this for me?" she asked, her eyes welling up. "Of course, Grandma," I said. "You deserve it." The next morning, we made breakfast together, opened presents, and watched old Christmas movies. It was the most wholesome and genuine Christmas I'd had in years. Meanwhile, my phone was blowing up. First, it was my mom. "Where are you? We just got to your house and you're not here. Dinner was at 6. Then my aunt, "Are you serious right now? We canceled our dinner plans because you were hosting." And then my dad, who never texts, "Call your mother." Now, I just turned off my phone and poured Grandma another cup of tea. They were furious. I knew that the second they realized they didn't have a Christmas dinner waiting for them, they'd have to scramble for last-minute takeout, or worse, eat airplane food. But did I feel bad? Not one bit. They had left Grandma alone for years. The one time they had to experience even a fraction of that loneliness, they lost their minds. And when they finally got a hold of me the next day, I didn't even apologize. I just said, "I thought you all didn't mind being left alone on Christmas?" Silence. For a solid 5 seconds. Nobody said anything. Then, my mom exploded. Are you kidding me, Melissa? We spent thousands on this trip, thinking you were handling Christmas, and you just disappear with Grandma? She's not some abandoned puppy, Mom, I shot back. She's your mother. You all left her alone for Christmas without a second thought. But the moment it happens to you, it's a disaster. My aunt jumped in, her voice dripping with fake concern. Sweetie, we just assumed Grandma liked her quiet holidays. She never complained. She never complained because she knew you wouldn't care. Another pause. I could practically hear the gears turning in their heads. They were trying to find a way to spin this, to make me the bad guy. But I wasn't giving them the chance. Grandma, who had been listening quietly the whole time, finally spoke up. And what she said, it shut them all down. I had the best Christmas I've had in years, she said softly. Melissa made me feel special, like family should. And if that ruined your holiday, maybe you should ask yourselves why. Boom. Mike dropped on my uncle, who had mostly stayed out of the argument, grumbled something about this being unbelievable, and my mom just huffed and muttered, "We'll talk when we get home." And then, they all hung up that I sat there for a moment, expecting to feel some guilt, some kind of regret. But instead, I just felt satisfied. For once, they got to feel what it was like to be excluded, ignored, and treated as an afterthought. Grandma reached across the table and squeezed my hand. "Thank you," she said. And honestly, that was the only validation I needed. But now, a few days later, my family is still mad. My mom is acting like I ruined Christmas for everyone. My aunt keeps sending passive-aggressive texts about how family is about togetherness, not making a statement. And my dad just keeps telling me I was being pettied. I don't know. Was I? Was I actually wrong for this? Should I have just sucked it up and let them ignore Grandma again? Or was it fair for them to finally get a taste of their own medicine? That's the question I keep asking myself. Was I being petty? Did I really ruin Christmas? Or did I just finally make them face the consequences of their own selfishness? At first, I felt nothing but satisfaction. But now, with the constant passive-aggressive messages and guilt tripping, I'm starting to second-guess myself. Why Mom won't stop calling, leaving dramatic voicemails like, "I hope you're happy with what you did. You ruined a once-in-a-lifetime family trip. Was it worth it?" My aunt is still in her family is about togetherness phase, which is rich coming from someone who ditched her own mother on Christmas without a second thought. Even my brother, who's usually the only reasonable one, said, "I get where you're coming from, but maybe you could have handled it differently." How? By politely reminding them not to abandon their elderly mother again? By just letting it happen and hoping next year would be different? I mean, let's break it down. For years, my family has treated Grandma like an afterthought. She's not sick, she's not completely helpless, but she's old. She moves slower, she forgets things, and honestly, I think she gets lonely. And every year, my family finds a way to push her aside. They do their big holiday trips, Hawaii, Aspen, last year it was Paris. And every time, it's the same excuse. Grandma doesn't really like to travel. But has anyone actually asked her? Has anyone even tried to include her? No. They just assume she'd slow them down. So they leave her behind and call it a sacrifice she's making for the family. And you know what? I think she knows. That was the hardest part of all this. Sitting with her on Christmas Eve, watching her fake a smile, pretending like she wasn't hurt. She kept saying things like, "Oh, I just prefer a quiet holiday anyway," and "I never liked all that rushing around." But when we were watching a Christmas movie together, she got this faraway look in her eyes and whispered, "I used to love big Christmases." And I swear, something inside me snapped, because I remember those big Christmases. Before my parents got obsessed with these vacations, before everyone got too busy, Grandma used to be the heart of the holidays. She'd bake pies from scratch, she'd wrap gifts with those perfect little bows, and she'd always make sure everyone felt special. And now, they just left her. Like she was optional. That's why I did what I did. I wasn't trying to ruin their holiday for fun. I was trying to make a point. A point they refused to hear any other way. But now, I keep wondering, did it even work? Because instead of reflecting, they're just mad. Instead of apologizing, they're doubling down. Oh, what do you think? Did I go too far? Was there another way?
All right, what do you think? Is Daphne the a-hole, or was she completely justified? Let me know in the comments. And hey, if you love these kinds of stories, don't forget to subscribe. There's plenty more where this came from.